Next on my list here, in my last episode 10, I discussed, it's funny, like I wrote this very, like, insert whatever word to like those noises. I wrote this caption that was like what this next episode is about. And I didn't even know why I was writing those things. And then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That makes sense why I wrote those things. So we're going to talk about the matriarchal mind. I am reading from this. Are you proud of me? Where true power comes from, and psychological inheritance on a personal and collective level. Okay, so let's start with the matriarchal mind, the matriarchy. The matriarchy. I want to make it very clear that I'm not like, yeah, women. I love women. And I'm not like not a feminist, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not. The point I'm trying to make here is there's this movement against the patriarchy. And while I don't agree with it, the patriarchy, not the movement, I agree with the movement, sure. I am of the heart mind that one thing cannot just eclipse another. Because there's truth and there's goodness in everything, even if what's dominating the thing is pure evil and fucked up. Okay? Think of that what you will. The matriarchy. What is afoot? I keep saying afoot today. I like that. What is on the rise? Because I do believe we are moving towards a matriarchy. Or moving back to, perhaps. There are a lot of definitions that I've been Googling, and I know a couple things, you know what I mean? I don't know, like, much, but I know a couple things. And I believe that definitions are a great starting point, not the end all be all, and always up for interpretation. And people might come at me for that. But after reading some articles, some scholarly articles, and reading through some other things, I've come up with a starting point of what I believe a matriarchy is. And this all connects to the godfather and the goddaughter, but of course it does, okay? This is Anna Scott's starting point. A true matriarchy is not female dominance, but rather an unconditional love-based circular system of reciprocity, sustainability, and truth that places immense value on nurturing and protecting the next generation and the environment in which we all live in. Dun, dun, dun. Anna Scott. So, why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because, well, for obvious reasons. Father, daughter, male, female, patriarchy, matriarchy. There are more reasons in my, again, heart mind that are compelling me to do this with these two seemingly separate things rather than this or this, okay? The reason for that is, well, there's many reasons, but for today, the biggest reason for that is if we as people, women, men, all children of La Sun, sun, you know, the big bright thing in the sky, and the moon probably. Children of the earth, we'll say. Of the universe. If we are operating, and this is leading into where true power comes from, bullet number 2. If we are operating and existing as, exuding unconditional love. You know the shit that saved Harry Potter? Yeah, it's a movie, it's a book, fantasy. The shit that saved Harry Potter was dramatized and had us all on the edge of our seat and was imprinted in our minds as something outside of what reality is, okay? Yeah, like, there's not wand. Well, actually, some people use wands. I actually am thinking of getting that wand with the credit card when I go to the Starbs, you know what I mean? Other places. I digress. I am going to do that, actually. The point is, when you're operating from unconditional love, you need not seek or find dominance over another human being or child, especially a child. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. You need not borrow, steal, or manipulate power from anywhere outside of you. Because you're so fully free to use and follow that love. To give not only to yourself, but to, yes, your family, to your community, and to the world. That power comes within. True power comes within. And now let's talk about psychological inheritance. You people know this, okay? There's tons of psychologists. So you look at anybody. The work of Carl Jung, Nicole LaPera, the holistic psychologist. Look at anybody who's really doing the work, who doesn't give a shit about what's cool, what's trending, what's like blue check marked. The real work, the real people. We inherit shit from our parents, from their parents, all the way back. And it's up to us to decide if we become aware enough. Which, if you're watching this, you must be aware enough to continue to watch this. If we become aware enough to know that certain things are inherited, we are aware enough to choose not to continue them. Now, these are things that travel through bloodlines, right? Soul lines. I keep saying that blood and soul, they're separate, but they're weaving and they're winding. Both true. Both very layered. We inherit these things from our families. But what about collective psychological inheritance? What about what we've been fed from people in authority outside of us, from newsrooms, from Instagram, from our bosses, from our communities at large? What about that inheritance? How do we show up and choose to be aware enough to not accept that? Well, some of us, myself included, had to experience the depths of despair and be gifted to choose the opportunity to completely break the kintsugi moments, if you will. To then remember that as a collective, we do have a choice to filter out the inherited falsities that were very real up until the exact point of awareness that they don't have to be. We can choose to change the story, not only for ourselves and our family, but for everyone. And then let's talk about the consciousness of all people, of all memories, past, present, and future. I've experienced going backwards and forwards in time. My mind brought me there, my soul brought me there, and my heart was my captain. Everybody experiences these seemingly impossible to explain scenarios. But it is my hope, and it is not a hope, it is my knowing that if we begin to go, I'm going to go back to that matriarchy definition that I concocted. If we begin to nurture and protect our children by way of educating them on things that most adults that are aware have been fighting tooth and nail to figure out, to free ourselves. If our children, if the next generation are taught things from the beginning about who they are, what they're capable of, what the true secret to life is that should never have been a secret. Imagine with me how beautiful this world will be. And the world is already beautiful. It truly is. But everything can always become more beautiful. So, we are going to dive in to the storytelling with a quote. From Don Vito Corleone. Where is it here? This is a classic. This is a classic quote. Classic. A man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man. Seems relevant for today's episode. I'm going to hit you with another quote from Godfather 3. The only wealth in this world is children, more than all the money and power on earth. Michael Corleone. Okay. Just plopping those things here for you to do what you will with. So last time we ended in a bucket of tears, which was hilarious and amazing and moving. After Via's accident, her attempted murder went awry because this bitch just keeps getting second chances to finish her mission. She says goodbye to Joey Peppers. And what we're going to do here, because this is the last episode, we are not going to skip over the ending of the film, but I'm going to give you the true highlight, the core energy of this ending. Because this film is going places, my friends. It's going places, and when I end this series, again, as I shared with you, I am beginning a new journey, a new thing. So I'm going to give you what you need to know so you're not on the edge of your seat, my 25 amazing subscribers at this time. If you're here in 5 years, just comment below how many people have watched this now. Let me know how many views. I think that'll be funny. So right now I think it's at 1. Okay, so then that 1 might be me. I love watching these, by the way. I get something out of them. Because even though I have no cards, I have no idea what I'm saying. But my soul does. Okay. She says goodbye to Joey Peppers. And what happens is, of course, we have a funeral scene. The Beach Boys are blaring. Everybody gets a Hawaiian shirt under their seat. Via makes a speech. The family communes in what looks like or is a nod to the original family study where we begin Godfather 1 with the wedding scene and Don Corleone sitting there with the cat and the beautiful rose, and also the scene where Michael's ring gets kissed. Again, these may not be the exact same studies, but that's the vibe. It's a family study where business is done and women aren't allowed, typically, for these important conversations. So we have this funeral, And we have the elephant in the room, right? Of like, okay, so Vinny has basically not once but twice tried to either harm or maim, kill, slain Via. Again, not because he wants to. He actually like really, really loves this girl now more than ever. I think I've mentioned that in the past. But his hands are tied. And this elephant in the room is growing and growing and growing. After Via makes the speech at Joey Pepper's funeral, she goes into the family study where Connie first joins her. Or Connie is the first to join her, I should say. And it's interesting because it's this visual of two women in this very patriarchal, stoic, blah, insert whatever word, room. And it's not about the words exchanged, it's about the presence that each woman is offering the other in that moment. Who comes next? Maybe Charlie. The point is, there is a progression of family that begins to fill this study. Michael Corleone, Vinny, other people. And as everyone's coming together, the children, Via's children, have obviously been searching for their mother. So they come in. And while Vinny's first instinct is to shoo them away, because this is family business, there's already women in here. That's not really the vibe, because I don't think he really gives a shit about that. But the point is, beyond Vinny, when business is being discussed, children aren't typically there. But what Al Pacino does, Michael Corleone does, is as Vinny's trying to close the door on the kids, he says, stop, let them in. So these children come up and they crawl into the laps of the women in the room. And Michael Corleone delivers this unbelievable, cryptic, wise, chilling speech, because he knows why Joey Peppers is 6 feet in the ground. He knows that Via is still in harm's way. Charlie definitely fucking knows. This dude's fucking pissed. He's a very wise man, Charlie. But there's a way to do things. There's a way to do things. Michael Corleone makes this unbelievable speech about friendship, about family, about friendship within family. And his point is speaking not only to the part of Vinny who still has a chance to be brave and tap into that unconditional love, the against all odds Harry Potter energy, but also speaking to Via and Charlie. There's something for everybody in this speech somehow. It's crazy when you speak from the heart and the words organize. There is something for everybody in the layers. And he ends this speech with one of my, Anna Scott's, favorite, and I wondered my whole life why I was so obsessed with this quote. It's an Irish proverb, which is also a nod to the original consigliere energy of Tom Hagen, but that's not why I put it in. These things are just extra little tidbits of what's going on in my mind after I realize, or I am shown, or I feel that a certain thing goes a certain place. But Michael Corleone has everybody get a little shot glass. The kids get lemonade or some shit in their shot glass because they're included in this too. This is a family. Family. Whole circle. Family. Business. And I don't mean business. Mission. He raises his glass and he says, "There are good ships there are wood ships, ships that sail the sea. But the best ships are friendships. May they always be. Salud, blah, blah, cheers, blah, blah, blah. And it's this really beautiful moment. The layers underneath it, my friends. He's saying that what has happened in the past is the past. What can happen now is friendship, is trust, is loyalty. And the rest of the speech is going to tie in this quote better than what I'm doing right now. But the point is, you think about family being, or what is it? Friendships is like the family you choose. Or you don't have to be friends with your family, they're just your family. But what if you can experience both? What happens? What happens? Okay, so that's a beautiful scene. And then we go on, there's a little bit of time that passes, and Via is still working with Vinny. Connie, what a fucking legend this woman is, by the way. Majestic, strong, brilliant, cutthroat, glorious, resilient, true class. Was dealt unbelievably challenging hands, and yet still she stands. Anyways, Via has had a knowing, a whisper of a knowing, that for some reason she keeps living. She was in an attempted school shooter situation, and she lived because of unconditional love, by the way, her to the student. She was targeted by whoever's pulling the strings of the world, and still she lived because of the unconditional love of Joey Peppers. Reciprocity. So she has this whisper of a knowing that there's a reason she's still alive. And could she choose to live in fear? Yes. And in some ways, to choose to live is still to be in fear. But is she willing to be in fear and live and not do the things she knows that she can do? She's going to try. She's going to keep trying because she's alive. So as she's plotting in a positive way her rollout of what education across the nation should be, she realizes she can't fix a broken system or, again, eclipse a broken system just like that. And she's one person. Even if she had an army, that would not be the matriarchal way to forcefully do something. What she realized is, if she's still standing and she's still breathing and she has a story to tell that's compelling, and she has the earned wisdom from being in that system, from dealing with unprecedented family drama, we'll call it, she can use these things to speak a new way of teaching into existence. And I want to say, perform a battle cry that will pierce and find. I say pierce in a positive way. That word comes up a lot in this episode too for some reason. That will find, or that will hit the exact right people, where the antenna goes up. Oh shit, this is what I've been waiting for. This is where I will put my resources and my money into. I want to work with her, not for her, with her, towards this cause, protecting, nurturing, teaching children. So as she continues to work with her team and puts together this press conference, so to speak, she has this sinking feeling that she's putting her family, her immediate family, at risk, her husband, her children. Because this bitch, again, she's been in life or death situations, not once but twice. So what's making her continuing to put herself in this harm's way? It's that desire, I'll answer this for you, it's that unconscious, perhaps, desire to clear the slate of the inherited psychological trauma of her bloodline. It's the urge to push back and create fresh the collective fuckery that has been inherited and imprinted onto people she cares about, her community, the world, through her own voice. And it's the faith that she has that unconditional love and the feeling that she gets when she's speaking in a way only she can to people about what her whole body knows can be true. She can't get rid of that feeling. So she thinks, if that feeling feels so good and so safe, how could that lead to the demise of what I cherish most? She tried to logic an intuitive and instinctual knowing. Kind of worked. So based on that logic, if she's following her heart's intuition and she's existing with and giving unconditional love through her work in the world, everyone should be fine. Kind of a risky move, but it's what she went with. So leading up to the day of this announcement of her plan for education to start her very own school that would feed into, for free, public school systems all across the United States, not to try to close them down or take over them, but to gather the exactly correct group of people to create programs and lessons and philosophies and draw from what already exists, by the way. It's not completely starting over in terms of all curriculum. It's taking what is good and just and real and adding in the things that all of us missed out on. So as she's beginning to launch this idea to the world, she knows